The world of tennis has a new Grand Slam winner, and that is a lovely way to begin the calendar year 2023. And for that, of course, we have to thank Aryna Sabalenka, who, of course, won the Australian Open women's singles final against Aryna Sabalenka, and it was quite the amazing final, really, because Sabalenka was, in fact, set down going into the second set. She came back from that, did really well. Then the third set was an absolute thriller because she ended up actually, avoiding 4 championship points. She actually had championship points on 4 separate occasions, couldn't win it, but then finally she was able to secure it on her 5th attempt, and with that she secured her first ever singles Grand Slam. Now, of course, there are many people who thought that she would in fact be scaling this peak in her career sooner rather than later, but what you may not know is that there's quite a lot of interesting things that have taken place in her life, both on and off the court, and for that we here at Sports Today are here to tell you 5 lesser known things, or things that you may or may not have known about Aryna Sabalenka before she, of course, went on to conquer Australia and the Australian Open in this year 2023. Now, the first thing that's worth noting is that she does in fact come from a sporting background. Now, her father wasn't a tennis player or anything like that. In fact, quite the opposite. He played hockey. But the simple fact of the matter is, coming from a sporting background can often have that advantage, because of course one thing is that you have it running in your blood, the other is that you're exposed to it from a very young age, and so it does become second nature to actually train, practice, play, do whatever it is you can to be the best. And that's exactly what Sabalenka was exposed to from a very young age, so it's no real surprise that she is in fact a Grand Slam winner in the sport of tennis. What's interesting to note, however, is that because she started playing tennis, in fact, and this is very, very interesting, purely by accident. Why exactly is that the case? Well, that's because she had revealed in an interview a few years ago that she didn't actually start playing tennis out of any love for the sport or any real major interest that came from, say, either of her parents. The reason she got exposed to the sport was because one day she was driving around in the car with her father, and they just happened to chance upon a tennis court in Belarus, and she looked at it and said, this looks really interesting. So her father just took her to the tennis court. They ended up playing a little bit over there, and that is when she started to develop an interest in the sport. So unlike a lot of tennis players who, of course, come up with this dream of being a Grand Slam winner or a multi-time Grand Slam winner or winning an Olympic medal, something of the sort in essence, she wasn't someone who had those dreams. She just ended up taking to the sport by looking at a court and telling her father that this looks like a really nice place. So they went there, started playing tennis, and the rest, as they say, is history. She is officially a Grand Slam winner, and of course does have a long way to go in her career still, so this might not be the only title that she ends up adding to her resume. Another interesting thing that's worth noting is that and of course, if you can understand this reference, 10 out of 10 points to you, imaginary points from me, because of course, very popular song, but one of the reasons that she's become so well known in recent times, and in fact a bit of a social media's it's a star, let's say, is the fact that she has this right here, this tattoo of a tiger on her left arm, and that's in fact earned her the nickname of the Tiger. In fact, she refers to herself as that also sometimes. She did so in an interview with the WTA's official website. She said that, I started to kind of overcome my doubts and my fears when I said that, why do I need to fear anything? I'm a tiger, I've got this. Now, that's great life advice in general as well, but it's pretty interesting, and you can actually see it on her arm whenever she's playing because it's quite prominently visible, and that's why she has been nicknamed the Tiger of the WTA Tour. Fact number 4 is that this might be her first ever singles Grand Slam title, but it's not in fact her first ever Grand Slam title overall. She is in fact a 2-time Grand Slam winner in the women's doubles division, and in fact the player that she's in fact won those titles with is also a player who's rather well known. It's Elise Mertens. In fact, you can see in this picture here, they are in fact you can see them with the Australian Open women's doubles trophy. So again, it's not only not her first Grand Slam win, she has in fact been victorious in Australia before this as well, so she does have some idea of how it is to win down under, and perhaps that really came in good use when she was taking on Rybakina. In fact, the other time she's also beaten some really top-notch opponents during her time. In fact, one of her titles, the US Open, came when she was up against Ash Barty in the women's doubles. In fact, the other time she was up against someone, in fact, the doubles duo of Barbara Krejcikova and Katerina Pliskova, who are of course multi-time Grand Slam winners in women's doubles. They've won 6 titles, and Elise Mertens and of course Aryna Sabalenka have also beaten them in a final. So she was a very accomplished player in the doubles tour before she ended up transitioning into singles success. Now, another key fact that's worth noting is that her first success, really, or what catapulted her into the spotlight for the first time, was the Fed Cup in the year 2017. Now, the Fed Cup, you remember, is a tournament that's played for nations, and you'll end up playing multiple formats, whether it be singles, doubles, mixed doubles, all of these things. And with Sabalenka in the team, Belarus actually ended up surprising everyone by finishing second in the 2017 Fed Cup. Now again, normally finishing second in a sport like tennis is not something that you celebrate as much, because you have to actually lose the final to get there. But for, of course, Belarus, it was a massive deal to even be in that final in the first place, because they were an unfancied side, punched well above their weight, and one of the key reasons they made it that far was the performances of Sabalenka. And that's it for this particular edition of the list. Again, thank you all so very much for joining us. As always, if you enjoy our work over here at Sports Today, please don't forget to like the video, share it with your friends, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and don't forget to leave us a comment, tap the bell icon, follow us on Twitter, Instagram and Facebook, and don't forget to download the AajTak app. Thank you all once again for joining us. Bye bye for now.